I'm Maggie. I'm a licensed clinical psychotherapist with degrees in psychology, theology, and marriage and family therapy, a national certification in dialectical behavioral therapy, and a national certification in integrative mental health. In this video, I'm not looking to diagnose anyone. I'm only willing to offer insight into situations like these. Hello, hello. Happy election results day. Listen, I'm going to quote Ralph Waldo Emerson real quick. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about where do we go from here after the election results. And I'm going to tell you why I changed the show topic really late. Like 3 hours ago. I was hurrying, making a thumbnail, doing the thing because, as some of you know, maybe not all, but and especially for the replay gang, I work crisis mental health. I work psychiatric. Oh, there was a little gnat in here. And we had 2 completed suicides today because of the election results. Now, whatever you want to think to yourself, we're not going to degrade people who succumbed to fear-mongering. So that became really important to me because the fear-mongering, the tactics that go on in elections, I've talked about a little bit, especially on Wednesdays. I've talked about how the government does things and it's all fun to get woo-woo and those kind of things. But the fear-mongering and the tactics that have been going on to manipulate people, to shame people, to guilt people, to yell at people, to say all these things, these terrible things are going to happen, just to get you to vote for a candidate. I have heard some awful, awful things during this cycle. It's some of the worst crap that I've heard. And now people have died. So we're going to talk about where we go from here, where we really are. Let's get a dose of some reality and a little bit of you are here, which someone that I know and love is very, very good at that, about kind of giving the big picture and this is what's going on and let's look at it critically. And so I'm taking a page out of his book and I'm going to use some transcendentalism for that. You guys know I like it. You see the ticker at the bottom. So I like it, but that's a really good philosophy to help us to have a little bit of critical thinking, a little dose of reality, and figure out where we go from here. But first, let me say hi to some people because Adric, listen, I changed it and he found it right away. You are the best. He was here with the hashtag Pivot Point Wednesday. Here we are. Thank you so much. Nina is here with the peace signs. Thank you so much. My favorite auntie, Andre 420. Hey, back to you. Chef Mike is here. Good evening to you as well. And Adrian is here. What's up with you? Thank you guys so much for being here. Everybody's saying hello. See, my live tribe is the best. They're the best. And the replay gang, you guys are awesome. And Adrian says this terrible news. Yeah, Spain man. Hi, Spain man. Thank you for being here. Hi, Leon. Thank you for being here. Yeah, that's it's just a mess. It's a mess that and again, you can think whatever you want, but we're not going to degrade people who felt that literally hopeless and helpless. all because of an election. Come on. Come on. All right. So let's just a quick recap of the transcendentalist movement. You know, this was in the 19th century. This was kind of coming in about, this philosophy was coming about by these thinkers getting together and looking at the world that they lived in and trying to have something better. Now, where they got a lot of momentum and a lot of notoriety was their stance on the enslavement of humans. And they actually thought that the abolitionist movement was not going far enough. So what the transcendentalists said was every human being needs to be as free as possible to reach their full potential. And so they were very outspoken about the enslavement of human beings. And the two most famous transcendentalists that we recognize their name is Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau. So they had a lot of things to say about how to approach politics and voting and society. They felt like the more society gathered around single topics or a central vision, the more inherently sick it became, and it became sort of poisonous to people. And so when we think about what Emerson said, the only person that you're destined to become is the person you decide to be, it shows us the power of individual choice and individual responsibility. Okay. So no matter how you voted or you didn't vote, or you voted third party, or you're red or you're blue, or you decided your vote does nothing, all of that doesn't matter. You have the right to vote, not vote, vote how you want, vote your conscience. That's the thing. You are individually free to do whatever it is that moves you towards your greatest potential. And you are not responsible for the state of the world, regardless of votes, and other people who voted are not responsible for the state of the world. Is there bad crap? Yes, I'm not being dismissive of that whatsoever. But we have to approach elections and these kind of things with purpose and with clarity, about where we really, really are. Okay, Leon says, this was the best crazy day off. Just reading Facebook posts. Yeah. Hi, Ian. Thank you for being here. He said this was a win for a chance at normalcy before the global elites dismantle human autonomy. I mean, there's a lot of thoughts about that. But again, while some people are extraordinarily happy about the results of the election, there are people that are utterly devastated to the point of, again, suicide. All right. Armando, thank you for being here. He's in with the peace sign. Chef Mike says, quote, every heart vibrates to that iron string. Yeah, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Oh, and his essay on self-reliance is great. Hi, Rocky. Thank you for being here. I don't know if Emerson and Thoreau were students of Rumi. That I don't know. I look at them more from the transcendentalist movement and what they wrote about personal freedom, right? And the self-reliance, like you said, So, I already said all of that. So they really, really pressed for individualism, the pursuit of self-reliance, a deep respect for nature and moral integrity. Okay. So not necessarily to a Kantian perspective where Kant said, there is an overarching moral imperative that everybody has to find. That self-reliance is you have your own sense of morality and justice, and you stay true to that. Again, that's why I say vote your conscience, and you have every right to do so however you want to do. You should not be shamed and blamed and guilted, how to vote, and then shamed and blamed because this person wasn't voted in, because you know what? Nobody's thanking you, on the side that won. Nobody is thanking you for that, you know? So, but you get blamed for all this other stuff, right? So transcendentalists said, it's in the power of the individual, a bunch of individuals, to bring about social reform. It's when you lose your sense of identity around a central topic that it starts getting sicker and sicker and sicker. If you guys watched my video on egregores, it's kind of like that. Like it takes on a life of itself and it becomes a monster. And then you have to pledge your allegiance to that topic. So then it's, voting red down ballot or voting blue no matter who, because it's now alive. And you lose your autonomy, you lose your sense of identity. And so then everything can become sort of a catastrophe. So when they fear monger and they catastrophize and, we're everything's going to turn into the handmaid's tale and everybody's going to be hunted and everything's going to fall apart, and all of that fear mongering really doesn't serve anything. It's not reality. Okay. We have a lot of pressure to conform, but it's not reality, okay? In today's political climate, it is really easy to feel overwhelmed by all of it and feel so much pressure and being pressured into thinking a certain way. In fact, um, there are political campaigns to pressure people. I'm thinking of a particular one that happened a few years ago that was no voting, no vucking. Saying that with a V, YouTube. And it was sort of like, it was a campaign where women were saying, men, if you don't vote the way I tell you to, we're not having sex with you anymore. Like, is that literally makes no intellectual or logical sense, right? There's so many things wrong with that, but it's the pressure to conform, where we're even going through other people to get other people on board with this, right? So they're bringing it into your home, into your relationships. So you can see why people feel so devastated, right? And there were many, many people who called in sick to work today because they are devastated by the results of the election. And other people taking days off to celebrate the glory of winning, right? But these are all human beings and we all live here. And it just goes to show you the division where we're at. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. You are the destruction of our society. You are the destruction of family. You are you know, right? So nothing is empowering us, right? They that is they don't want us empowered, right? They just want us scared. Fear is a good control. You guys remember that movie, that kids movie, Monsters Inc? Screaming powered I don't know, all the machines. I don't remember what it was powering, but it was screams. So, but it's like every election season, right? It's all the fear mongering. This is the end of the, or it's the great hope of blah, 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 But here's the thing, like, the world didn't turn into the Handmaid's Tale and, become the great white supremacist, misogynistic, racist, fascist, whatever thing under Trump when he was president before. And Kamala's, acting like it's some new thing and she's going to save all of democracy and it's going to be amazing. Well, any of that, any movement or momentum towards that could have been happening for the last 3.5 years. It didn't. It didn't. It's theater. It's all political theater. We forget, I think we forget, or maybe we don't know or we don't think about it, that the government is run mostly by rich white men, but definitely by rich people, mostly white, right? These are very wealthy people who are there to serve their interests and protect their wealth. Like, that's how it's always been. And we forget that, I think, and we become a little invested, or we're all searching for a hero or some person to just make life better because of all the suffering, right, that happens. Rocky says, wait, people have sent themselves back to the main menu because of the election. Yes. Yeah. I said that at the very beginning. I wasn't thinking about, people are still making their way in. Yeah. Um, we were dealing with that today. Yeah. 2 people. Hi, Inspired Truth. Thank you for coming and dropping a like reminder to everybody. And he'll be first on the replay, gang. Thank you so much. Adric says, get your booty to the pole. Yeah. Yeah, like the weird stuff. Weird. Okay. Andre says, I just watched a video of a woman cutting her hair off because Trump and the patriarchy won, but so many people are literally crying over this election. Yeah. And we're either so happy with the results that we have the tendency to condescend to or degrade the people whose person didn't win, or the people whose person didn't win, they start assigning anybody who voted for this other person is a racist, misogynist, pig, white supremacist, blah, blah, blah. The division is working. You see what I'm saying? Like they that are the they want us all divided and not empowered, right? And so we no longer appreciate our diversifications. We don't see other human beings anymore. And it's just, are you that or are you that? And we're busy blaming and pointing fingers, and these are human beings, right? You may not respond the way they are, but that doesn't mean they're not human beings. Everybody's doing the best they can with what they have to work with. And there are a lot of people who don't have a lot to work with. Okay. Andre says, recording themselves crying, male and female across races. Yeah. And I kind of go back and forth on that. Kind of go back and forth. Okay. So, candidates resort to fear tactics every time, and it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Every cycle, it just gets worse and worse, right? This fear tactics, this disastrous future if the other wins, right? And then we forget, then those 2 candidates and everybody on their teams and everything, they all go to lunch together and they meet up at the bar and they have drinks and they date one another and they talk about political strategies, and because they're the same. It doesn't matter to me who you are or what you see. They are the same. These are wealthy politicians who are protecting wealth. And that's been proven every time, right? I don't care if we have this random different gender, a random different ethnicity, this is what it is. These are wealthy people towards the top of the pyramid protecting their wealth. That's what it is. Leon says these same people are scared cacales to speak on the biggest population, which is white women. Just saying, basically outside of white women, they are looking for someone to blame. Yeah. But, if the blame can all go around and, white women need enough of that blame, I think what I'm going for is we all got to stop for a second and take a breath, right? Yes, we will assign blame where blame is due. But when it comes to an election, which is just a big contest, and I understand the gravity of it, but we're making it life or death. Okay. Hi, Cynical Optimist. Thank you for being here. So, it's this disastrous, if the other person wins, the world is going to end, right? And then people in our lives are using those same talking points and same catastrophizing to to convince the people in their lives. I mean, Facebook has been a yuck. It's just been yuck, right? Now, luckily, my Facebook is a little bit of an echo chamber. So I'm not it's not personally me, but and I know it's an echo chamber, sometimes you need a little bit of that, but seeing other people guilt and blame and um, you know, well, don't you love your mother? And don't you have a sister in your life and you want misogyny to reign? And, well, what do you just want the whole world swamped with this and that and all these things we don't like and blah, blah, blah. AJ Nick says my Facebook is WWE. Yeah, because they take the catastrophizing and the disastrous other scenario and beat you over the head with it like it's actual truth. But again, Trump was president before. The whole world didn't end. Kamala's been the vice president. She didn't do anything she said she was going to do. All the promises they make are lies. You guys think about it. Every time there's an election, there's all these promises, and then they get into office and they're like, well, but I said and I didn't, and well, I'll get to it, yada yada. They are politicians. Even the one who says he's not a politician, he's obviously a fantastic politician. He's even still saying he's not a politician, even though he was the president. Like, dude, you're a politician. You've always been a politician. Great salesman, great politician. Salesman, political theater. Same diff. Same diff. Hi, Indigo Flow. Thank you for the flowers. Thank you for being here. Andre says, Marcus has been killing me on Facebook. Hi, y'all, Borgen. He said, tell me lies. Tell me sweet little lies. And then we believe it. And we get so invested in it. Not realizing that no matter who wins, it's the same. Same government, same systemic failures, same systemic issues, same problems, same ignoring the same old people, same pedestalizing other people, same policing system, same budget, same wars, same. It's extraordinarily rare that there's been big things happen. And guess what? Those big things that happen in government was not from one person making changes. Okay. You guys are much better at history than I am, but so find me the exception or find me examples. Because usually when there's big changes in government, it's because the people said enough of the caca. And so some bigger changes would happen, right? Am I wrong? Am I right? Am I wrong? I think I'm right. That the big changes happen from outside forces, right? Even think about the civil rights movement. Yes, there was a lot of protesting going on. And so that was a big thing. But then also, wasn't it China? I think it was China who told the United States government, like, look how you treat the Black people that are citizens. You're Black people. You're this country. These are the Black people that belong to you in your country. These are your citizens. Look how you treat them. We don't want to trade with you anymore. So the United States says, okay, you know what? There's all this civil unrest going on. We don't like that. It's pretty costly. And also, it's messing up our trade, which is our money. And the money is the most important thing. So you know what? Okay, we'll give a little. There's always outside influences for the big things. It's not one politician. Politicians do not want to cause unrest and stir the pot and make big changes. Even Trump, who everybody thinks he's going to make all these huge changes, drain the swamp and blah, 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 da, 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 da. He did some strategy. He has political strategists that advise him on things. He has the Heritage Foundation. Even though when he says, I don't know anything about it. Well, everybody you hired is in the Heritage Foundation. So tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies, right? It's the same today as it was yesterday. Okay. So we start feeling like all this catastrophizing is going on. It's all disastrous. We don't have a choice. Our only option is to vote a particular way to avoid catastrophe, right? It's the lesser of two evils. But when we think about our own, right, like if you are voting your conscience, if you are solid and clear in your individualism, right, then you don't vote for evil. That's just me. Okay. You guys have the freedom to do whatever you want. For me, my political affiliation is transcendentalism. Okay. So this is why I'm talking about it because it applies. Do your thing, whatever you like. I'm just using it as a philosophy right now, but you don't vote for evil. And you really become pretty loud about the only two options you gave us are two evils. You're making us vote for evil. I'm not okay with that country. This is the citizenship where I'm at. I don't have the money and the means and everything to go somewhere else. Plus, I like it here. This is my country, you know? This is my country. I'm here, right? I was born here. I'm a citizen here. I do not like two evils. Okay? At some point, sometime we'll probably talk about ranked choice voting, but okay. Ian says they're globalists at the top and are too wealthy to have any real national patriotic commitment and have no allegiance to a working infrastructure for the poor to rise without having to bow to them. Totally agree. Adric says it's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. You just made me think of, the fires all in the background. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Andre says the only way Handmaid's Tale is happening is if they continue the rainbow agenda. I mean, again, maybe. Andre says Trump is at the top. Yeah, Trump is a politician, but he has a way of relating to the average person. So do narcissists. They're very, very charming. People with narcissistic tendencies are great salesmen. They're very charming. They're very unless you're in a relationship with them, they read people really well. They know what to say. They're very, they're a character and they make you think, I'm with you, I understand you, I got you. But if you think, for me, I'm just going to say for me, somebody who was born into a rich, white, property owning family, who was given $1 million to start a business, who has never lived a middle class, let alone a poor life, who has been sued multiple times for racist tactics, who is a convicted felon, who has it's been demonstrated a child essay. I don't think he's relating with the average man. I just don't. And that's me. That's me. Other people may see something that I don't see or take him a different way. But that kind of goes back to the lesser of two evils, because then our other option was somebody who supports genocide, who couldn't come up with a policy platform, who can't think on her feet, who doesn't have good relationships with any other world leaders, who is not a successful politician, who couldn't do anything individually, who really screwed up the border and all that when she was supposed to be in charge of the border. And then was I don't know. And then, but I was at the border. Like, yeah. So, but again, there's a little hair in here. I'm a big supporter of genocide. I don't support genocide. So two evils. That's what we had. Andre, we may go over that in Patreon. I'll do it for paid and free members. But we'll talk about maybe all the things he's been convicted of. We'll have to do it on Patreon because they have made public the charges and the affidavits. So the witness statements from children are available. So we may go over that at some point in time. Okay, so let's talk about some transcendentalist principles to kind of calm the fear mongering and give us a different perspective. Okay, so transcendentalists, Thoreau and Emerson being the biggest advocates, said self reliance. So we already talked about that. If you guys haven't read that book, the essay, it's just a little book. Um, it's a great read. I highly recommend it. It's just a few dollars on Amazon. So if you can, that's something that's a great read, just about an essay on self reliance. So we should act according to our own values rather than be driven by external pressure. Okay. They believed in a moral responsibility, not necessarily an overarching code that everybody has to follow, but they kind of felt like if everybody's operating on a moral responsibility, responsibility to self and responsibility to others, that it would sort of transcend popular opinion or the demand of society, right? Like most of us can say that we have a moral responsibility to be as honest and truthful as we possibly can, right? So imagine if voters all just approach the election this way. I kind of talked about the lesser of two evils, right? If everybody was like, you know what, I individual moral responsibility, would we accept two evils? Now I understand that there are people who think one of them is not evil, okay? But the overarching sentiment is that it was the lesser of two evils. You had to pick the lesser of two evils. So could you imagine if voters just as a huge millions and millions and millions of people said, "No, we don't like these two. Come back. Come back with something better. Give us 5 to choose from. We'll do ranked choice voting." Like, no, no, no. No, not these 2. Give us somebody different. And hurry up because we got decisions to make. We want to talk about it. Because society can demand things, right? We feel very trapped because of all the fear mongering, not just the election cycle fear mongering. It's all the fear mongering that they do, right? So if we focused on our genuine values, not what we're pressured into valuing by society, by cultures that we're in, by religious doctrine, by all these external forces. But if we just focused on our own internal genuine values and didn't really focus on who's the winner, who's the loser, because we're all losing. We're all losing right now. Our country, people in our country are suffering. The poverty class is growing exponentially. The middle class is shrinking. The top elites are just getting richer and richer and richer. And, people during this election cycle, both sides were hitting me up for money that was the cost of eggs. And I'm sorry, eggs are expensive. So I'm buying eggs. You're not getting any money from me. Plus, you're wealthy. Why are you asking me for money? Either one of you. You both are wealthy and you have access to tons more wealth. Why are you bugging me for cash? You've got plenty and more than you should. So we have to think about what kind of future aligns with our beliefs about justice, about compassion to our fellow man. If we started focusing on those things, we will look at that fear mongering differently and call it out for what it is. It's a manipulation and it's a control tactic. And it just keeps getting worse because it keeps working. And then people are yelling it at us on Facebook. Okay. Leon says, I think she is really happy not to be president and sad at the same time for what it would mean. Yeah, like being the president sounds like a super duper stressful job. I mean, I don't want to do it. Okay. So this kind of plays into thinking outside of the societal matrix, right? At some point, I'm going to get into this too, sooner rather than later, I think, because I keep alluding to it. The matrix that we talk about, there are layers, right? So there's a big, and then it's like onions. and it's another matrix, and then it's another matrix, and it's another matrix, and it's another matrix, right? And at the bottom, we realize no, I'm not going to give it away. No spoiler alerts. We have to see beyond that societal matrix of the fear mongering, and that the screams, do load the batteries, right? Charge the batteries, the screams. Because remember, at the end, it was the giggles that had way more power. But all these tactics only serve to perpetuate the system where we feel powerless. The whole thing perpetuates the system where we feel powerless. Why would they want their citizenry empowered during a time when everyone is suffering? They don't want you to feel any power, because then what happens, right? We don't trust in our individual agency, anymore. So let's think about this. This system that we are under, okay, has been in place for centuries, okay? Yet we're still here. History has shown that the doomsday predictions rarely, if ever, come true, right? We haven't had the nuclear war. It hasn't been the Handmaid's Tale. Nobody's forced you to be gay. Like, all of these doomsday predictions rarely, if they have ever, come true, right? So, yes, political outcomes do impact lives, right? Like inflation obviously impacts life. There are things that impact lives. But this crappy system that we've been under, with all the systemic issues that we've been under, this, like I said, have been there, stayed there. They change here and there with outside influence, not huge changes. And and here we are today. So there's always the system that oppresses people. And it's usually always the same people. We really haven't tossed it up too much. We've added a few people in here and there, but the system was built how the system was built. That's just it. No one party has ever fixed it either, right? One way or the other. Did we elect somebody and it becomes doomsday? Yep, didn't happen. We elect somebody and they fix all the problems? Nope, they don't do that either. Why? That's not why they're there. Right? So everything stays essentially the same, right? No matter who's in office. Because who benefits, right? They always benefit. They always benefit. Wealthy people always benefit. The rich white patriarchy always benefits, whether it's men or women or however, it's always the rich white patriarchy, right? It's just like, the semi-recent Supreme Court ruling that police officers' job is not to serve and protect, it's to protect wealth. Supreme Court said that, y'all. Police do not serve and protect people. Their job is to protect wealth. Gives you a bit of a different perspective about why they do what they do. You see what I'm saying? Ian says, the problem with the moral debate is that everyone has a different idea of right and wrong based on the interpretation of the English language, where doublespeak is built into our social relationships. Yeah, it takes a lot of really going inside and figuring out what you value and what you believe, right? Spainman says nuclear war yet, right? I mean, no bombs have been dropped here. I'm in America, by the way. I shouldn't say that. I'm in the United States. America is a big, long place. Ian says, have you heard of a religion called Ekankar? No. And that's always very interesting to me when I learn about new religions. I have an undergrad minor in theology. I was just talking about Zoroastrianism the other day. That's a fun one too. Kind of more fun to say than to talk about, but that's a fun one. Spain Man says, that's the part I can't figure out how people don't get. How long do we keep the seesaw going and think things will change? Well, isn't that the definition of crazy? Hi, Sick Dicky. Thank you for being here. Que bono, as Seneca once asked. I don't know what that means. Spain Man says, to punish and enslave. Yeah. Like, we're all plugged into the matrix, power in the thing, right? Right? We as humans, do you think that human beings actually came into existence to work all day and make other people money and have to pay to be born and pay to die? Because so you're born in debt, right? You have to pay to be born, you have to pay to die. Um, you have to pay for food because they've changed everything where there's not just free food everywhere, right? Like there's all these plants and trees, but we're gonna poison those and we're gonna only plant male trees so that there's no fresh fruit on street corners. you know you have to pay for healthcare, you have to pay taxes on property that they say you own, but you don't. The government can come in with eminent domain and take it anytime. They own everything. They own you. We have to get our social security number right after we get our birth certificate that has a serial number on it. you know Protecting wealth. This is what we do. We are the batteries, right? So no party has fixed it. Nobody has come in and fixed anything. They have not been the savior, and no one has ever created doomsday because they like the system exactly how it is. It works for them. Okay? Doesn't matter who's in office, it works for them. So the real power has only ever been with the people, right? Like people outside of the government. Any type of liberation that's ever happened in the United States or around the world has come from the people, right? Reform from the people, um, changes for justice from the people. Wasn't it Sri Lanka where they finally had enough of the BS president and their protest movement showed up to the president's their Capitol building, and they pulled the president out and executed him. This is recent, guys. This is in the last few years. So it always comes from the people. It's the call is not coming from inside the house. They're doing what they do. Lesser of two evils means they're both evil, and they're both going to do what they're going to do because they are rich people, right? So we have to step outside of our like conventional political dynamics. Okay. The real change comes from individuals and groups who dare to do something, right? Dare to act, be authentic, act according to your values. Say, I'm not doing this no matter how much you shame and guilt me and nag at me and treat me crap and condescending, right? Like it's about challenging the whole system, challenge the system rather than giving in to the fear. Now, there was a lot of people that did that in this way, like the voting couch as like a way to say nope, or voting third party, even though all the people are like, you're throwing away your vote and blah, blah, blah. If you vote for a third party, it means blah, and you're terrible and yada, yada, yada. But it's challenging the system. And it's sort of like, nope, y'all kept at me for voting this way, but this party's never done anything for me. Why would I vote for them? Right? Again, two evils. Why am I voting for evil? Why wouldn't I vote for somebody who does something positive that I believe in, that I can align with? If my values don't align with either one of these people, then no, right? So we have to challenge the system and not give in to the fear and the pressure to conform. And that's where transcendentalism is. That's why I'm using it as an example. Again, you all can do what you do. But transcendentalism says the power comes from within, right? No political party, no candidate can entirely suppress the will of the people. No government can entirely suppress the will of the people, especially people who are determined to create change. But you have to know where you are. And you have to see reality for what it is. This is political theater. It's about control. They're trying to scare you. And for some people, it really worked because they're so good at the game. They're so good at the game. Leon says, Maggie, it's Adam and Eve's fault. Sig Diggy says, "Que bono" is Latin. It means who benefits or for whose benefit, as Seneca asked back in ancient Rome. Yeah, who benefits? That's a great. Ooh, I'm going to start using that, Sig Diggy. Or the Arab Spring in 2011 in Tunisia. Ooh, I'm going to look that up. Sikh said, actually, the former leadership in Sri Lanka was transported to exile in India when the protesters were on the route to the presidential palace. You also saw the same recently in Bangladesh. It might be Bangladesh that I was thinking of. I don't know. I don't know. I will have to remember because, again, ADHD and doing it on the spur of the moment memory is not great. Again, thus notes, right? Spainman says it's just affirming the system every time you pick the lesser of two evils. And, if we want to get kind of metaphysical woo-woo, they call it casting a vote. And in, paganism or witchcraft, either one, when you cast something, you're giving it power. So if you cast a vote of empowerment, you are literally and figuratively on the woo-woo level, giving your power to someone else. Nobody wants that. So whether you think of it on a literal, like I'm empowering you by casting my vote, I'm giving away my ability to govern myself by giving you the right to govern me. Or, you think of it on more of a metaphysical thing where you're giving away your power. Either way, that's what's happening. Ian says the system makes it useless to take down rulers because the system is in the mind of everyone and it has to be acknowledged. The physical existence by nature has built-in controls. I totally agree. It's an egregore. It's made a life of its own, and so we have to. No individual ruler is the life of it, right? It's the system. The system itself, the matrix itself, has become alive. Ian says it was never meant for there to be complete freedom within the physical reality. I mean, you never really can have complete freedom, right? But you can have autonomy. Okay. Spain Man says, interesting interpretation. Well, thank you. So we can be a determined people, right? We can say enough is enough, and you do that however you want. You can say enough is enough to your dog. You can say, and you can write a strongly worded email. You can protest. You can go all the way to eco-sabotage. Whatever you think, but they never can truly stop the will of the people. We may be suppressed for a very long time, but all empires fall, right? If you guys are interested in more of this, the website is on the ticker below. If you're interested in modern transcendentalism, that's a bit of a modern take on transcendentalism, but there's a lot of tenets in there, and there's ways to protest, and there's a lot of information on that website. I'm not pushing it. I'm not saying people have to do it, but if you're interested in it, there it is. If you're interested in that philosophy or as a political movement, the interesting thing about the original transcendentalism was that people viewed it as a political party, but also as like a spiritual movement and also as a philosophy, because there was a lot of critical talks, like these higher thinkers, would get together and discuss all of these things. And so people weren't sure what to take of it. But to transcend all of the indoctrination, people looked at it a little bit spiritually too. I look at it today as my political affiliation. So if you're interested, you can go look. If you're not, shoot, do you? Everybody's free. Adrian says the system is self-aware. Yeah, it has the checks and balances are because it has become a monster, and it survival, right? Survival. The whole thing is about survival. Sick Diggy says, I'm glad that George Carlin explained in his last special, It's Bad for You, back in 2008, that You don't have leaders, you have owners. Oh my gosh, you would get me so in a tangent about football. Ooh, because there's owners and you're traded on a market and you're bought and then you play on a field for the uh, enjoyment of others watching you. Okay, I won't go too far into that. Rocky says, Maggie, have you heard of demon face syndrome? I saw mainstream news sites talking about. Yes, Rocky. Look in my live videos. I did a live on demon face syndrome and it got pretty deep. That was that's I still went pretty weird with that one. And tinfoil. So it's been pretty recent, but yeah, check it out. I think you'll find it super interesting. Yeah, Leon says, yeah, we talked about demon face. Yeah, check it out. It is wild. There's actually a demon on the thumbnail. So a demon face with the horns, I think. So yeah, check that out. Oh my gosh, I think it's just called demon face syndrome. I don't know. I don't have YouTube pulled up as I'm doing this live. So if a mod can put the link in the chat, that would be great. Sick Diggy says it's a big club and you're not in it. Yeah. George Carlin, brilliant, brilliant societal and political analyst. I think maybe we all need to go back and watch some George Carlin. All right. Well, I encourage everybody to reflect on your own autonomy, on your own values, build your resilience, right? Politics is not about one candidate winning or one candidate losing. We are giving people power to govern us. Okay. So it's about we have to align our actions with our beliefs and do what we think is right. We have a moral responsibility to ourselves and to other people, right? We have to find our strength in the face of all of this pressure. And we have to call it out when other people are manipulating and trying to control and force other people to conform. And we are adults. We are adults. We should be able to critically think and debate and have discourse about topics and be open to learning new things and changing our minds and those kind of things. So we have to call out when people are acting childish or immature or using all of these same control tactics. We need to do that for ourselves and for others, right? But we really need to trust our own moral compass. I hope that makes sense. Oh, thank you. Adrian put it in. And it was called demon face syndrome. Okay, perfect. Sick Diggy says, yeah, Richard Pryor as well. Man, wouldn't it have been now I just want to say to people who are like, oh, the world is ending, the sky is falling. What you gonna do, Rich? That's what I want to say now. Ian says, autonomy will always require a sacrifice, and who or what gets sacrificed will always lead to government and politics, be it modern world or wilderness life. In the movie, Neo had to bow to the architect. Yeah, I get that. That kind of leads me to the Matrix is multi-layered, so we'll get into that. Hi, Lewis Conyers in here, Red Pill Sleeper Cell. Thank you so much. Salute to you as well. So wanted to touch on that, on the fear-mongering and where we really are, and for people not to panic too much. Don't lose your sense of autonomy and control, no matter how much the system tries to take it away from you. Help each other. Act autonomously, follow your moral compass. The sky is not falling today. The world is not ending today. And every day is an opportunity for us to try to push back on giving away our power and allowing other people to govern us in a way that gives us evils that we just have to swallow. Ian says, what all religions and spiritual movements neglect to tell you is that there's always a hierarchy. Will people understand that if they want freedom, they must be the architect of social life and reality? Well, we're all our own main character, right? Like every one of us is the main character of our story. We decide what the story's like. So thank you guys for indulging me tonight and allowing me to change it. We're not going to get weird on Patreon again. Even though I really want to do that. Because I changed up the show. So next Wednesday, I don't want to make a promise that I won't keep because, the universe is funny like that. But next Wednesday is the toxic beliefs and patterns that was supposed to be tonight. Then we will get weird over on the Patreon after party. And the following Sunday is the effects of being unmothered. And we're going to talk about relationships and just in general, how it affects you by being unmothered. So hopefully you guys can make it. If I don't see you this Sunday, I will see you next Wednesday. And as Adric says, fight the power. So I'll show you a picture of my dog. Please like the video if you haven't already. It really helps the algorithm to know what kind of things you like. Share where you think it's appropriate, especially to someone who you think needs to hear it. And don't forget to check out some of the wilder Pivot Point Wednesday shows. And last, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, especially if you want to break down complex concepts that make the esoteric not soteric, helping you on your journey to become your most authentic self. By subscribing, you'll join a community that thrives on curiosity and growth, and you'll never miss out on insights and some wild discussions. Let's uncover the universe together. Bye.